Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Good morning, Vietnam. So today I wanted to talk to you about narcissist and empathic regulation and why we act and operate the way we do and why the narcissist does as well and what's going on. So let's start with the narcissist. They regulate from outside confirmation, outside validation. They have this obsessive need for outside validation. So they never show who they really are to the outside world, to the flying monkeys, their family, their friends, their coworkers. They show this fake self-image that they have polished up. They know others want to see and they would like to see. It gives them praise. It makes them look like the do-gooder. They go out there and they polish themselves up to be a do-gooder for everybody to see them as a do-gooder, and they get praise for it. People believe it. They believe the mask. But when they come home, it could be your mother, your father, your spouse, your love partner, whoever it is behind closed doors, they hang that up, that jacket. They hang it up on the hook, and they're a darker version of themselves. And that is because they don't have that character. They're faking it, and that's what they need your energy for. They need your energy to fake this character, to put this on for the people out there to make it look good. They're spelling, but they need good fuel to do it, to convince others that that's who they really are. Now, when they come home and they hang up their jacket, they take off their fake character, their polished up looking self. They hang it up. That's why the children and the spouse, the love partner, they all have a different version or a different understanding of who the heck this person is, because all they ever see is this evil individual that hates. So you go out and about and everybody praises them, tells you how great they are or how great it is that you're with that wonderful individual. And the children and the spouse and the love partner are all scratching their head like, you're crazy. You have no idea. Because they go home, they lock the doors and they shut the blinds and all the curtains, and then the devil comes out, the Jekyll and the Hyde. They show what they need to get that admiration. There's no authenticity and there's no altruism, but that's what they want to show. They show that they're altruistic, and it's a lie. They only do it because there's a motivation in it. They're motivated to get the validation, and to get the praise, the admiration. And to get the praise and the admiration, they do it. But if there was nothing in it for them, they wouldn't do it. They're not giving. They're negative reciprocity. They're totally admired outside the family, and it's all reserved for the outside. It's all fake goodness. They have no integrity. Integrity is being who you are inside as you would be outside. Meaning when nobody's around, you're going to hold up the same standard. And people don't do that. The narcissist doesn't do that. So what makes them feel better is to get that praise. The thing with the narcissist, they refuse to see their flaws. They never work on themselves. They only are made worse. That's why people say after you end the relationship with them, the next relationship is going to be worse, because they're in denial. They're only out to feed the mask. They're only out to protect the mask. They're only out to praise the mask and love the mask. The mask gets affected or shamed, they're going to find a way to polish it up. They're going to switch it up and make it more deceptive and more manipulative for the next person. So if the narcissist in the house is faced with shame, they're going to manipulate it into throwing it onto you. They're going to provoke a response as if you are the one causing it. They're going to project it onto an individual in the house. It's always the scapegoat child or the scapegoat spouse or love partner, typically, because they're going to be the ones that were groomed to accept it freely. So they're going to go to them and they're going to project themselves, their shame, all of the dirt they've been doing, and all the evil that they are. They push all these emotions onto you until you accept them. They're going to keep doing it until they get a reaction out of you. When they get a reaction out of you, you respond with a reaction. They did feel shame, but now they fool themselves and say, well, there was shame around here, but it's yours. It's them. It's his. It's hers. It's not me. And that's what they do. So they fling the shame, and then an energy transference takes place, and they feel better. They're just projecting themselves onto you. They provoke it into you, causing a confusing process of conversation, accusing you, saying that you're doing the dirt that they're doing. They'll just package it up in a weird way, in a way they can convince you that it's somehow you're doing something bad or hurting them or causing troubles in them. There'll be no evidence of it. And even if you know that it's not your fault, you're still willing to accept it because that's how you've been groomed. You weren't born this way, you were groomed this way. And you can't say anything to convince the narcissist that it's them because they will never accept that. So you're wasting your time. In fact, you're walking into a negative situation even worse because the more increasingly uptight that you get and upset that you get, it just validates to the narcissist more that it's you and not them. They'll gaslight themselves, whatever it takes. They're never going to look at themselves. Now, when it comes to the empath regulating, they have a shame wound expressed differently because you're both dealing with shame wounds. So from outside validation as well, we look for outside validation as well to regulate our shame, making others feel better. We have to make people feel better to deal with our shame. For us to feel better, if we can help somebody else, it makes us feel better. But it destroys us because it's dysfunctional, and anything dysfunctional is going to be destructive, even if you're doing something that seems good. So why narcissists and empaths are brought together is because the narcissist needs this outside validation for all the dirt they're doing. And the empath, when they feel bad, they have the need to help people, and that makes them feel better. But what happens is the narcissist gets on a level to where they're manipulating it because they're evil and hateful and they have no love. They have no fruits of the spirit. So for an example, it would be if you were all happy in the living room of the house or something, and the narcissist came in there and they see you being happy and they hate. That's all they can do is hate. And they're acting in a certain sort of way and you feel like you're doing something wrong all of a sudden. So you may ask them, is everything okay? Am I doing something wrong? And they'll be like, no, you're fine. And then they'll leave the room feeling better because all of a sudden you feel all that stress, the eggshells, the anxiety, and you're accepting their energy. It's nonverbal most of the time. But all you have to do is accept it. If you accept it, it's going to shoot right in you. And there's going to be energy transference. And they're going to walk away happy. Or they'll provoke you into it. Depending, but anytime you're happy, they're not going to be happy. So they're going to change it up. You're going to regulate them. It's just basically an inability for you to stay in your own energy when a narcissist presents themselves to you. You get to a place to where you're working nonstop to make the narcissist happy. And the narcissist will continue to suck you dry. All the while, you're deleting yourself, your authenticity of who the true you is. So you're more and more becoming a hollow shell of a self as you give it all to the narcissist to validate them, regulate them, to make them feel better. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make them feel better by trying to diagnose what the heck's wrong with them and trying to fix it. And when you go down the road of regulating like that, it's detrimental only to you, y'all, because it's dysfunctional. What happens over time, you get to a heightened reactive response. Your nervous system is all out of control. At some point, it continues to get overreactive and you get emotional and a heightened alert, almost like you can even get to a paranoia state, very much anxious. Then to bring you down, the narcissist will start to breadcrumb you a little bit of love. So they got to keep you regulated like this, and they monitor that. So they know when to breadcrumb to bring you down from your heightened alert. But because if they let you get too high, you'll end up in a psych ward or something, or you'll end up leaving them. That's more or less what would happen. So then they let up on the abuse and they breadcrumb some love to you to bring your emotional state down to make you feel better. So there's like an interim. You're basically, at the end of the day, your whole relationship is regulating who you are because the narcissist is in control of the relationship. So it's the narcissist that is regulating who you are. This could be anybody. This could be a boss. This could be a friend. It's whoever you allow this type of power over you, really. How you feel is completely based on how the relationship is. But you're both focused on external regulation to some degree. When the narcissist was raised out of feelings of abandonment, they would make themselves feel better than everybody, grandiose, superior, God. And on the side of the empath, when they were raised, when they had feelings of abandonment, they would make others feel better or make themselves feel inferior. They're both trauma responses and they're called the fawn trauma response. And out of that fear of abandonment, they would refrain from who their true self was, both the narcissist and the empath, and become these types of individuals. So the difference is when the narcissist is presented with this information or it comes to this kind of understanding, they can't reflect. They refuse it completely outright. It can't be them. They cannot feel any discomfort. They have to fling it on everybody. They refuse. They refuse to understand that they have a flaw. But when the empath, on the other hand, is presented with this information, they're willing to reflect, to self-reflect, and to find healing for these wounds. Because we're really not alike. We just shared the same childhood wound, but from different sides of the spectrum. So if you can understand that we can't control what comes up emotionally, and we can't control the thoughts that come into our head, but we can control what we do with them, how we manage them, because this is how you have control of the situation. Now, when somebody like the narcissist is trying to provoke these situations in you, to project shame upon you, you're going to feel discomfort and you're going to want to help them again. But that's where you got to respond and not react, where you take the time to, instead of automatically flinching into a reaction, because that's what you've done your whole life, you're going to have to take a break and to be conscious instead of unconscious. You are more unconscious and automatic with it because that's what you're taught. And it triggers a reaction. So you're going to have to take the time to be conscious and to take deep breaths. And instead of reacting, try to find understanding in it, to notice what's going on, try to understand what emotions are coming up at those moments in time, to process it. Like, where is it coming from and why? Why am I feeling this way? Because it's coming from your childhood. And these are past unhealed childhood wounds of shame and abandonment. What will help is when you respond, you're not accepting somebody else's emotions. And when you feel those things that are nonverbal, but they're in your presence, you have to, if you can try to refocus or stay focused on what you're doing and not what's trying to come around you, and continue on. And this will grow and you will get stronger at it. And this is where I think people talk about your aura, but this is really, I know it sounds a lot of new age, but a lot of times there's a deception in that too, because there's a lot of goodness and godliness that's been hijacked, and now they call it new age, and it never has been before. But your aura is your protective covering. And it comes from awareness. I mean, it's your shields around you, meaning you have the ability to be conscious of what's around you and refuse it. The more secure you get in yourself in these situations, the easier it will be to push it back. That's your aura, okay? If you can look at it like that, it's powerful. But being aware and conscious in the moment and being in tune with your emotions, in tune meaning to decipher them. Because if you can't decipher them, you're in confusion, emotional confusion. And don't abandon your emotions by checking yourself out and just accepting somebody else's energy. And that's what we've done. That's why you got to tune in. And it takes work. Tune into your emotions. Don't abandon them. Don't accept people's crap to make them feel happy unconsciously or automatically. And this gives you self-awareness, and it gives you self-control where you were lacking. You don't regulate other people's emotions. That's not your job. You never regulate somebody else's emotions. It's not your job. But that's what you were taught. You don't fix people. When somebody's unhappy, they're unhappy. You just have to be you. Be in your own spot, in your own space. You can't, if you're going to go out there and you're going to fix everybody that's unhappy, you'll be so drained, you won't be able to help yourself, and that's what happens. You regulate you. And the hardest thing is to focus on loving yourself. Really. It's hard we were taught to not love ourselves, man. And it's hard to even have that concept, early on in these stages. Because we almost feel like we've been taught that that's what pompous people do. But that's not true. There's a righteous way to love yourself. And it's important. It's imperative. You cannot help others if you cannot help yourself first. And if you can't love yourself first, how can you love anybody else? to be a powerful individual, a stand-up individual that can stand on what you believe and go out there and live the life that you're supposed to be living, you have to love yourself. And, you know, this is what you do. Don't react. You will mess up. Don't be automatic, right? Don't be unconscious, and don't abandon your emotions. Be aware. Be conscious. You don't regulate others' emotions. You don't fix people. You regulate you. So if you can give me a like, subscription, thumbs up, love y'all. Till next time, Soldier, peace be out.